Hey guys, Darren here with Fantasy Points. Week number 4. We have some really fun games today um, to go over. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. If you have not joined our Fantasy Points sub yet, you can use Darren, my name Darren, the number 5, get a discount, get access to the projections, ownership, the whole shebang. Um, so anyway, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with DraftKings over here. We have 20 lineups. We have our basic stack with wide receiver. It's not showdown. We have the main slate. Over here, we have the flex settings at running back and wide receiver. Custom stacks. We're going to go to the first one here and actually start with Joe Burrow. Titans are a complete funnel pass defense, and using our tool, the data suite, the Bengals actually have the best offensive line, defensive line passing matchup on the slate. So Burrow is off the injury report. He threw the ball 49 times last week, did not throw a touchdown, which is insane. But this is a get right spot, in my opinion, for Joe Burrow. His ownership isn't that high. So I actually like stacking it. Going to go with Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd in the slot. And I'm actually going to come back with Chig. Traylon Burks got ruled out, so should see a couple more uptick as far as targets go for him. So that kind of help the stack. I've been playing around with possibly using Derrick Henry also. He's off the injury report also, and it's week 4, 5, 6 where he usually wakes up and has those explosion games. So you could play around with it also, and then you try a Derrick Henry stack too. I'm not going to play Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon in the same lineup. They don't really correlate very well together. Stack number 2, Mr. Josh Allen. Should be a fun game. We got Stephon Diggs and coming back with Mozart, Raheem. Not showing much ownership on Raheem actually, so wait get a little bit different. I know a lot of people will be trying to jam in Tyreek or possibly Waddle. Looks to be healthy. Looks like to be back this week. Have to see if there's any more news as far as limitations for him. So if you're playing around with that, obviously we're not going to use the Dolphins defense, and I'm not going to use James Cook in the same lineup of Josh Allen. He does catch some passes, so I don't hate it. But for this particular build, I'm not going to use him. But once again, that's what's so cool with the optimizing. Just play around with it, see what it spits out, and see what you like. All right, max exposure by position, not set in stone. I got max 35 quarterback, the running backs, receiver, tight end. You can play around with these settings, how you choose to be. Ownership settings. Somebody actually asked in our chat what would they set it at. So this would be the max team exposure. I think 130 is pretty good for 20. You don't have to go crazy and do like 90% ownership. You're not trying to beat as many people in 20 max, so you can have a couple chalky players. I don't mind that. So we'll see what it spits out. And max flex exposure, one of my favorite tools on here. I went 50-50. I like a lot of running backs this week. There's a ton of running backs I like. So I went 50-50 this week. Some weeks it'll split, but once again, you can play around with it. If you like prefer the running backs, you can always just bump it up and just have more of those and lessen the receivers. All right, well, let's go ahead and do our little opt. Well, actually, no, let's go to the player settings. All right. And we'll start with quarterback. And I always like to go sort by value. And the top value, interesting, shows Kenny Pickett. It's super interesting. Jags had a hard time last week against a Houston outside, even though they were down 3 corners. So, but I know the Jags, Graham pointed out on the Cash and Point show that we did yesterday that the Jags receivers did drop a ton of balls. So it's not all on Trevor Lawrence last week. Not sure if I'll get there to Kenny Pickett. Bryce Young's playing. Minnesota really can't stop anybody. Winston, I talked about him as a pretty good GPP play. I think he actually gives the team a little bit of life. So I think that's a good little GPP play on there. And obviously here you can do the bump up, bump down if you want to get more or less of these players. That's completely up to you. All right, let's go look at the running backs. And we'll sort by value. You can see the ownership over here too. All updated. Javonte Williams, top play. I like it. He's still splitting a little bit. He doesn't have a full bell cow role, but I think that's coming sooner than later. And Bears just absolutely dreadful, to say the least. He's got a really good price. Doesn't have to do that much to get there. Zach Moss, interested in. I'm just curious how the Richardson coming back at quarterback is going to affect him. But man, he's just been running left and right. I'm curious how that works out. But the price just seems too cheap for, he's just the main guy. There's nobody else there. Oh, interesting. Rashawn Johnson is showing as a value. Rookie for Bears, because Denver also can't stop anybody in that game. So that's a little pump play there. I'm curious why Stevenson's popping. It is easily Elliott's return to Dallas, which we're going to hear a ton about over the next couple days before that game kicks off. I don't think I like Stevenson that much. I'm actually gonna. I think if they get to the goal line, they're gonna give to Elliott. It's kind of obvious. So try and give him a touchdown against his former team. So I'm actually gonna bump it down Stevenson a little bit because I did run this already to kind of look, and it was giving me a lot of them. I'm also gonna bump down Najee Harris. He's splitting time with Warren. 5,500. I'd rather play Javonte Williams than Najee Harris. I just don't like playing older running backs. So like I said, it's kind of cool. You can actually limit exposure miniature of the max. So Stevenson, I can just put in 5%, 5%. So I won't get any more than exposure, but I did also bump them down, so I might not get any. We will see. I haven't done this since I did this. All right, sort of value of the receiver. No surprise. Thielen, Palmer, Dell. All of them are going to be pretty popular as far as that goes. If you're building, I probably wouldn't have all three. If you're playing cash, I don't play cash. I'm assuming that's going to be a super popular build to play all three, but I probably won't play all three of them in GPPs. I think that'll just be too much of a popular build. Rondell Moore is interesting here. Quinton Johnson, I think, getting a little bit of exposure with Mr. Mike Williams being out for the year. And we'll go look at tight end. Sort by value. Oh, and Shig actually, yeah, I didn't look at this. I didn't realize he does shows the top value. So Traylon Burks being out does help. And he's not getting that much ownership right now. I'm gonna have to probably update the ownership. I'll do that later today. Mark Andrews, I love Sunday. So many players out. So he's going to be the main focus of the team. I know a lot of people like Zay Flowers for good reason too, but Cleveland's defense is pretty legit. And we'll look at defense real quick. Sort of value. And we have the Dolphins. That's interesting. They're only 2,600. I think Panthers are actually sneaky. I know they've been bad, but they're at home. Minnesota on the road. They're super cheap. Washington. I think I like the Browns the best out of these guys. Anyway, let's go ahead and optimize and see what we spit out. So I did have a line I liked. Let's see. I just put down Stevenson, and so let's see what it spits out here. Herbert, Cook, Moss, Chase. I like this one. I'm gonna like all these, I think, because I got rid of Stevenson. It's Moss. Yeah, it's liking Moss a lot here, guys. Oh, that's interesting. It's got Nico and Tank Bell. Double dipping, but without the quarterback. I'd probably want to use a quarterback if I'm using both receivers. I got no problem using both receivers. They're cheap enough. I like Nico this week, actually. Let's see. Bills defense, man, they were amazing last week. Let's find a Joe Burrow one. There's my boy Joe. You know what? I'm gonna go this one. No, we're not. No, not with the Dolphins. We're not. Not the Dolphins. Let's see if we can find one more Joe Burrow. Here we go. Burrow, McCaffrey, Cook got a piece of that high scoring game. The price is good enough. I'm not sure he has a massive ceiling, but he hasn't scored yet. I think he's kind of due. Boyd, Chase, you got the Chick comeback, Moss. Yeah, I like this the most, guys. So it'll be team number 18 this week. Um, I think last week did okay, but Josh Kelly killed the Herbert, Jefferson, Keenan Allen line that I made. That was my first stack I made. That didn't hurt. But this one I like quite a bit. You got actually $200 left here. So if you didn't want to play Moss, you could throw somebody else in here. I think Kyron Williams actually fits for the Rams. Yeah, or you could take Cook out and play around, put Moss here, and then put somebody else in the flex. Yeah, this is a team I like, guys. So I'll look back and kind of see how this one does. But anyway, any questions or anything like that, put them in the comments. I do go over them and look them over. Please give a thumbs up for the video. It does help it out. Make these things free every week. I enjoy sharing my thoughts on the slate. And good luck to all of us on Sunday. All right, see you guys.